This is going to be a workshop on high-impact careers with Sudhanshu Kasewa. Sudhanshu is an advisor at 80,000 Hours, which I'm sure you've all heard of. So this workshop is really aimed, it's best for people who already have some ideas about what they want to work on, but they have some uncertainties. So it'll probably not be quite as useful for people who have done a lot of career planning or have already had 80,000 hours advising. So yeah, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Sudhanshu Kasewa.
Hi everyone, thanks Toby, and thank you for coming to the session today. I hope you're all excited. You know, EA Global, how many first-timers in the house? Oh, lovely, that's great. This is very cool. Okay, nice. So this is going to be a fairly interactive kind of session. So, you know, it's kind of useful to have other people sitting on your table. So if you're only like one or two people, I'm looking at you, sir, you might want to go and join another table where there's like a few other people. Yep, that would be great. All right, so yeah, we're going to get started. There will be like a few more people coming in. Most of this session is you all doing the work, so I hope you're not coming to, you know, sit and witness like this person talk about stuff for an hour, because I don't have content for an hour, really. I've got like maybe 3.5 minutes, and I've already done 2.5 of that. So yeah, okay. So let's start at the top, right? What do you want to get out of EAG? Does anyone have answers to that question?
A job.
Ah, job. All right. Ultimately, that is the ultimate objective, or is it? No, I think you want to save the world, right? Like that's what we want to get out of this. So yeah, but you know, you want to network a lot. You want to talk to a bunch of people. You want to be able to like pick up on what different cause areas are there. You know, what are the different things that are happening in those cause areas? What do the careers look like in those cause areas? And how can you possibly break into some of those things, right? You also want to get like more information about different frameworks, different modes of thinking about stuff, different models of the universe, right? Sometimes we get stuck in patterns of thinking, and talking to people at places like EA Global is a good way to break out of some of those patterns. You also obviously want to get a sense of what's the landscape, you know, what are the different organizations, where are they based, you know, who's got the money, where's the money coming from, and can I get my hands on some of that? And you know, obviously, you'll meet other people who are in different stages of their careers, but you're also quite likely to meet people who are in the same boat as you. So make, you know, powerful networks so that you can have people that you can grow together with. And of course, if you get you know, good at this kind of a networking thing, there'll be people reaching out to want to mentor you anyway. But you know, you can also be proactive and try and reach out to people who you think would be great to work with in the future. Finally, and I think this is the most important thing that one can get out of a place like effective altruism in general and EA Global specifically, is to be inspired, right? It's to really take a look around you. Even within this room, there are so many of you who've already done excellent things in your careers, in your lives, in your educational histories, and you know, share those stories with the people around you, because you don't know who you'll inspire to do like the next great thing with their lives. All right? So with that, what's this workshop about, right? So this workshop is going to basically cover some basic tools that we use for trying to figure out next steps within our careers. It's kind of useful for folks who've got a sense of what cause areas they want to work in. Does anyone know what cause areas they want to work in, more or less? OK, so I'm just putting it out there. This is not really going to be a cause prioritization workshop. That's not something I'm particularly good at yet. But you know, hopefully we'll make it work anyway without covering that part of the thing. It's useful to have some idea about where you want to work. It's kind of helpful for folks who've got like some uncertainties that they're trying to figure out. It's also, like Toby said, you know, if you've already got advising, it might be a little less useful for you. But it really doesn't matter where you are in your career right now, whether you're just starting off or whether you've got you know, a couple of gray hair already, like me, or whether you know, you've got like any specific kind of skill set or not. That's fine. You know, we're here to figure out like what skills you do need and how you can go about and get some of those. So without much further ado, we're going to get into what's going to happen in this workshop. So what's going to happen in this workshop is that we're going to brainstorm around like what are the paths that we think are useful for the ultimate goals that we want to reach, the ultimate careers that we want to have. We're going to try and figure out what the uncertainties we have on those paths, get some ideas about like how we might actually overcome some of those uncertainties, fill in some of those knowledge holes, and then ultimately end the session with a few minutes at the bottom to actually start taking actions to address some of those things, right? So what is a career plan? Right? The career plan has what do you want to achieve, right? What's that end goal? What are some of the roles that I want to see myself in, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, wherever you are, right? How am I going to get there? So where am I today? Work backwards from there, do the starry-eyed thing and be like, oh, yeah, I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. And then ultimately, you realize that a lot of that looks difficult and fictional. And so you want to actually try and figure out how to make progress on some of those uncertainties, right? Like, how am I actually going to make that step 3 to step 4 journey, right? And that's what we want to do today is like be able to actually articulate some of this stuff out, because writing it all out is really helpful. It's really useful. It helps us face the realities of whatever journeys that we're on. And sometimes, we lose sight of the fact that it's useful to pay attention to what reality is. But welcome to effective altruism, everyone, where truth-seeking is important. So we're going to try and do some of that truth-seeking today. We're going to try and do it collaboratively with the people in this room, on our tables, around with us. Few things to keep in mind while we're going through this process. You do want to kind of have a sense of knowing what it is that you're trying to achieve at the end of this thing. What are the goals that you're optimizing for? Try and pay a little attention to whether or not you're being the most ambitious that you can on this thing. Whether or not you're underselling yourself in some way, whether or not you're keeping an accurate inventory of your current skills. So it's really useful to then say that, hey, hang on a second, maybe I don't have a bunch of skills right now. If you're early in your career, you should actually be looking to invest in a bunch of skills and not really be focusing so much on like the immediate impact that you might get in the next 1 year. And ultimately, you do have to aim high. It is your career at the end of the day, and you can do a lot more than you think you can, right? You can do a lot more than you know that you're capable of. So yeah, use this time to kind of like explore that with the people in the room or the table that you're with, because you might have some blind spots which the people that you're talking to might be able to shed some light on. So okay, I've talked a lot. I said 3.5 minutes. It's been more than that. And so now it's time to move on, right? So the first exercise that we have is actually doing the thing of figuring out what our uncertainties are. So I need everyone to take a few minutes, take 5 at this point in time, write down what's the area that you want to work in, what are the roles that you want to have, right? What's the path that you're likely to take to get there? What are your immediate next steps? And basically rank these, right? So make a list of, if you want, you can make a list of 10, pare it down to 5 or something and rank them, but at least have like 5 kind of options in terms of like, these are the roles that I might want to do like in the future at some point in time. Yeah? Okay. Go for it. So we have about a minute left. All right. 5 minutes. 5 long minutes thinking about where you might want to work in 15 years. Who's never spent 5 minutes before doing this? Okay. Many of you have come prepared, I say. Not bad, not bad at all. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is that you've got this list of options, right? I want you to now think about like what are the steps along the way that you don't know how to make, right? So what are the uncertainties that you have? How are you going to try and address them? How are you going to try and address them is, a tough question, but you'd have to try and think about like where can I get some information about these things. So what you want to do now for the next 5 minutes, again individually on your own, is to look at these career paths that you've identified for yourself. Figure out what are the biggest things in this list that you're uncertain about, and then try and get some sense of like how you might get some information about those uncertainties and how you might make progress on it. Go. All right, and time. Phew. So, you feeling uncertain? Yeah. It's stressful for sure. So, brief anecdote at this point in time. I think somewhere on the 80,000 hours website, it says something along the lines of we spend about 5 minutes deciding where to go for a 2-hour dinner, or like a 90-minute dinner or something. And if you scale that up into where you want to spend most of your career, then you should spend, maybe about like 100 hours or something at least, trying to figure out where you want to be in your career. And so it's just been 10 minutes, and it already feels a little heavy. I know what that feels like. But yeah, we're going to keep going. But now we're going to get to the more collaborative part of this whole thing, right? So the next thing that I want you all to look into is to look at the wonderful folks sitting around you and get some of their inputs on your uncertainties and actually brainstorm collaboratively to try and expand that list of uncertainties to things that you might have actually not noticed yet. And so I can see that we have, groups of 4 quite naturally sitting on most of these tables. This table here might want to split into 2 groups of 3 each. And we're going to take, say, 10 minutes or so, where everyone can get about 3 minutes to kind of like talk about their thing and have the group brainstorm with them to expand their uncertainties. And so after 10 minutes, if we're still talking and we still want some more time, then we'll go on for a little longer. How's that sound? Yeah? OK. Take it away. Yeah. All right. That was 10 minutes. That just flew by, didn't it? Seems like you all want some more time. Yeah, everyone? Okay, so let's take another 5 minutes. Let's make sure that everyone gets some time to present what they've thought about their uncertainties and so that you can give them feedback. So move it around, all right? Okay, another 5 minutes. Go for it. Thank you. So we have about a minute left. Okay. Thank you. That was 15 minutes. I hope you're all feeling like you're getting something out of this session so far. Yeah? Because if not, then I apologize in advance, because the rest of this is going to be like really boring, right? No. So hopefully by this time we've got a bunch of questions, right? About like, if I'm on this career path, what are the things that I need to do? What are the things that I need to find out? What is the information that I have to get from the world? And we might not know. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to try and answer some of these uncertainties, right? So we're going to try and like figure out what activities we can do that would give us this information about like whether or not we should be pursuing a particular path. And so to prime us for that, one of the tools that we use is something called a ladder of cheap tests. Now, shake your heads if you've already heard this one before. No? Okay. So the ladder of cheap tests is basically, setting yourself up a series of increasingly time-consuming exercises to give you information about whether or not you want to work on something, right? And so it might be, reading a research paper. If you think that you want to go down the path of being research, at some point in time, you're going to have to read research papers. You're going to have to read hundreds of them. So one of the things that you might want to start with is reading one of them. And after you've read 3 or 4 of them, if you find that, hey, I can actually do this thing of reading research papers, you might want to do the next step of something that might involve a little more time than just an hour. So something that might take 7 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, putting together a little project of some kind, getting GPT-3 to run on a cluster, right? How many of us have tried to do that and failed? And then you actually might find that, hey, all of this is great. This is totally working for me, but I'm ready to take on something that's even more challenging than that. And so then find a project that might take up, about 40 hours. Ultimately, build yourself up, collecting more and more evidence from the world that you are capable and able and ready and willing to do the thing, working up to actually applying for internships and jobs, right? That's the ladder of tests. So yeah, primed with that, the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to brainstorm actions to try and figure out what sits in our ladder of tests in order to, address the uncertainties that we have. So would you like to do this individually or as groups, or like with like a partner? I think we can do it with with partners, because we're kind of running low on time. But yeah, so this is supposed to take 10 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 to do this individually, and then after that we'll discuss with other people on the table to get further inputs on the ideas that we've come up with, and maybe get some of their ideas as well. Okay? So take 5 minutes to think of actions that you could take that are going to help you address some of those key uncertainties that you've now identified. Just a minute left. All right. So now what we're going to do next is just take another few minutes to share what we've, thought about, brainstormed around actions that we're going to take, share them with the group, get some of their ideas from them, give them feedback on their ideas for, say, another 5 minutes. Yeah. Someone had a question? Oh, that's fine. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. Last 30 seconds. All right. Cool. How's everyone feeling? It's been almost an hour. We've been doing this thing together. I can tell you, I'm tired of standing. So, I'm going to sit. But does anyone else have a problem standing in this room? Can everyone stand? Yeah? Just because this is the last exercise, and I'm just going to make you all stand while I take a moment to sit down. Yeah. All right. So, with the last 5 minutes, what I want everyone to do is to think of one thing that they can do right now. Right now, right? And the reason that you're standing is because you have to do it and then you can sit down, right? That's one way for me to tell that everyone's actually done it. But yes, you've got a list of uncertainties. You've got a bunch of actions that you can take. Pick some actions from there and do it right now. Something that you can get started on this journey with. All right? Go. Oh, okay. All right, so the next session is starting in a few minutes, so I don't really want to keep you all here for that. But, please take the stuff that you've gathered here today along with you beyond EAG. There's a bunch of resources that you should be looking at from time to time because they keep getting updated with new things, especially the job board. It's a great place to try and find new opportunities. And yeah, it's been lovely having you all here. Please do feel free to give me feedback anonymously or in person or on email or whatever it is, so that this workshop can be made better in the future. And yeah, all the best with your EAG. Thank you all for coming. Yeah.